Member of Parliament Claudius Boncampo requests meeting to deal with electoral reform. President of WICSU to hold Caribbean Trade Union meeting on the island. But first up, Prime Minister in urgent Parliament meeting updates members of Parliament on COVID-19 pandemic. Those are the headlines from Monday, March the 16th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Now for the details. Prime Minister, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, who is also the chairlady of the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, speaking at an emergency meeting of Parliament which was held on Monday morning, gave the island an update on the COVID-19 pandemic.
The EOC is in full deployment. The situation is very fluid, and measures are continually being taken to expand on our preparation as well as capacity to deal with the COVID-19 international crisis and the eventuality of a COVID-19 outbreak on St. Martin. I believe that a necessary component in combating the COVID-19 is to continuously update you, the people of St. Martin, and by extension, of course, you, the representatives of the people of St. Martin. And it's for that reason that as soon as the EOC was convened, that I have also called on members of Parliament to be informed in an informal setting so that they could get the information as it unfolded. I didn't wait for a meeting to be called. So I thank all who have come to those meetings. I was also prepared to come here for those informal meetings and will remain available to do so in the future. Currently, St. Martin remains COVID-19 free. We have, up to this moment, no confirmed cases. We know that many of our sister islands can no longer state this fact. Curaçao, over the last couple of days, now has confirmed 3 cases and are actually monitoring 40 cases. That was up to my last discussion yesterday with Minister Susie Romer. They are being monitored as they have identified as persons being in the same area where the other 3 cases were, which is in the Brabant area of the Netherlands. And so therefore they are in self-isolation at home, and the GGD continues to monitor them. Up to now, there have been no issues with those. Meanwhile, also, Aruba has 2 confirmed cases, 1 also from the Netherlands and 1 from the US. We are in close contact with both of our counterparts and as well as the other kingdom partners, and have been in constant telephone as well as conference contact over the past 2 weeks. Our French counterparts continue to deal with their 2 cases, 1 now completely negative. They are still awaiting the last test results for the gentleman, and we expect that soon also he will show, because the process is that you must have 2 consecutive negative tests in order to be considered COVID-free. We look forward to hearing about the outcome of this retesting to determine when the patients will be able to be released from quarantine. We, French and Dutch counterparts, currently dealing with this international crisis, are having a meeting today at 2 p.m. to finalize and continue to try to synchronize how we will move forward given the current situation. As we all know, I say try because of our different constitutional states. The decisions taken for the French islands are determined by France, the state. St. Martin has the authority to take decisions on her own behalf, and that makes for sometimes difficult decision making. As you can tell with the latest back and forth on the school issue. We had agreements as French and Dutch St. Martin that any such decisions would only come, particularly closing of schools and other institutions on the island, as long after having 2 or more cases, seeing our capacity. Of course, seeing the worldwide spread of the disease and our open borders, we have been taking, as Dutch St. Martin, steps to close the border from certain persons who are in those cluster areas from coming in. You may have noticed the thematic that has been out there, which is used by all airlines and vessels to know who is allowed to come in on a regular basis. But it's been updated in the last weeks with specific COVID-19 restrictions from all around the world.
And we will have more of the emergency meeting in tomorrow's edition of SXM Daily News. And in more news about the COVID-19 pandemic, in keeping with passengers' safety and health at the Princess Juliana International Airport, St. Martin's Airport, the corporate communications specialist at the Princess Juliana International Airport, Audrey St. Louis Jack, gave guidelines for passengers and visitors for disease prevention.
All passengers and visitors are encouraged to follow these guidelines to prevent the spread of communicable diseases and illnesses. Frequent hand washing for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. Dry hands in the hand dryer without touching the surfaces. Please use the strategically located hand sanitizers to cleanse your hands. After 5 consecutive uses of the sanitizer, please wash hands with soap and water. If you have a cold, place your upper arm in front of your face when you sneeze or cough. Use a disposable tissue into which you may cough or wipe your nose. Immediately discard the tissue into the bins provided and then wash your hands with soap and water. Would you like to protect yourself and fellow passengers during your flight? Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. On the aircraft, wipe down the armrest and tray table with sanitary wipes and use tissues to open the bathroom door. A face mask is optional, but it must be a proven effective barrier, especially if you're seated next to someone who has a cough or a cold. If you have questions or concern about the coronavirus, we urge you to contact the Collective Prevention Services at the hotline 914. This has been a public service announcement by the Princess Juliana International Airport, SXM.
And in other news at this time, management at Port St. Martin said on Sunday that the cruise ship Costa Magica will only be in a port on Monday, March 16th, for fuel bunkering and food provisioning as it takes its way back to its home port. The cruise passengers will remain on board the vessel while the ship was being fueled and resupplying of its food stock. Permission was granted only for the aforementioned. Port St. Martin has increased its sanitation operations, and port security has been advised that persons handling the provisioning have been instructed to wash and sanitize their hands frequently as part of the enhanced sanitation program. The port has established a crisis emergency service department that can be deployed 24/7, 365. Costa Cruises is one of several cruise companies that have suspended their global itinerary as of late last week, Friday, due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. Cruise ships that departed home ports prior to the decision taken by the company are now making their way back to their home ports. Costa Cruises says its global operations have been halted until the 3rd of April 2020. The Costa Crociere Group is Italy's biggest tour operator, part of the Carnival Corporation and PLC Group, with a fleet of 103 ships with over 11.5 million passengers in 2016. The Costa Crociere Group is parent company of the Costa Cruise Lines and AIDA Cruises brand. With 27 ships in service for an overall capacity of about 76,000 guests, the group is headquartered in Genoa and operates at global level, mainly on routes in the Mediterranean, Northern Europe and the Baltic Sea, the Caribbean, North and Central America, South America, the Arab Emirates, and the Indian Oceans, the Far East, and also Africa. And still to come, Prime Minister talks about the cooperation with her counterparts on French St. Martin. I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with the news, Minister of Education and Finance, the Honorable Ardwell Edion, says that school continues as normal. Don't be blinded by following fake news. The Minister of Sports and Culture and Education is in his capacity as Minister of Education says that there is an official message circulating on social media about school closures, and this is untrue. He wants the community to ignore these fake rumors and only listen to statements from formal government channels. Schools continue to operate as normal on Monday, March the 16th, and it will continue so going forward. The fake news message circulating said that the source of the info is from the Department of Education, Innovation, and Gender Relations, and that it is on the advice of the Ministry of Health, etc. The Ministry of Education thereby advises all teachers, parents, guardians, and school managers of public and subsidized schools to monitor official sources and trusted news organizations for their information with respect to educational activities and development on St. Martin. Notices from other countries are being reposted on St. Martin by persons who unknowingly are creating distress and unnecessary panic. Everybody has a responsibility to first review information before you repost it via social media. Check if the information is from an official and credible source. Listen to the government radio station 107.9 FM for official information, statements, and news updates, or visit the government website, which is www.stmartingov.org, coronavirus, or its Facebook page, facebook.com/SXMGov, or the Ministry Facebook page, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport. In other news at this time, and still COVID-19 related, in yesterday's edition of the People's Voice on the Voice of St. Martin Radio, PGD2 and PGD3, Prime Minister Sylveria Jacobs expounded on the cooperation that the Dutch side has with French St. Martin in dealing with the virus.
Whoever may have been following the address, especially yesterday, we have promoted that heavily, and we are in very close coordination and cooperation with the French side, though our setups are different. They take orders directly from France. What they did initially was close their schools, and then they rescinded and said it would not be closed. However, they are incorporating other situations because, in France it's rampant. So on French St. Martin it is not. In St. Bart's it is not. It is starting to come about in Guadeloupe and Martinique. However, our islands seem to not have high levels at the moment. We want to keep it that way. So that's why we are instituting some more restrictions for travel for visitors. Let me re-emphasize. The French side doesn't do international flights per se. So our international flight ban only affects people who are trying to get to the French side, Europeans who are trying to get to the French side, and Americans. So they will not be able to get in for the next 2 weeks after Tuesday. However, I had a short discussion again this morning with the president, and I'm in constant contact with Le Préfet. Madame la Préfet, and we will meet tomorrow afternoon, and hopefully no other drastic measures will be taken without consultation. If they do take something, hopefully I'll hear about it. But that no more than 100 people gathering, that's a World Health Organization recommendation to minimize the spread. And that's why flights would be an issue.
And in more cancellation news, the project that was scheduled for Friday, March the 20th, which involved a performing arts exhibition on the Cyrus Watty Square comprising of 110 high school students from the various schools, which included the Charlotte Brookson Academy, the MAC CSE, the St. Martin Academy, and the St. Dominic High School, has been canceled. The exhibition would have offered a display of problems and solutions that the students would have come up with for the sustainable development goals depicted in various art forms. However, due to concerns around the coronavirus and based on the latest recommendations of the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, a large gathering of students and government officials spending hours near each other should be avoided. Although St. Martin has no confirmed cases of COVID-19, this cancellation is a proactive step in mitigating the risks. Options to reschedule the event have been discussed with the various schools, and once a date is confirmed, it will be made public. While this decision was taken only days prior to the event, we must take the safety and the health of our students, staff, the community, and visitors very seriously. Now turning to our weather forecast for March 16, 2020, a surface low-pressure system centered northeast of the local region may cause a few showers today. Meanwhile, a loose pressure gradient will maintain a light to moderate wind flow. Slight to moderate seas will prevail throughout the next few days. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Aruba Flag Day celebrations on St. Martin canceled. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And members of the Chichubi Foundation has announced that the Aruba Flag Day celebration that was scheduled for Wednesday, March the 18th, Aruba Day, has been canceled due to the corona COVID-19 pandemic. The celebration was to include a church service, a meet and greet party with DJ Easy Rick, followed by an award ceremony, and then it was to be followed by the Chichubi Clash of the Voices Song Festival and an after party. And in other news at this time, President of the Windward Islands Federation of Labor, Theophilus Thompson, briefed reporters on the upcoming Caribbean Trade Union meeting, which is scheduled to be held in St. Martin very soon.
Trade union platform, so to speak, whereby all unions, they are part of what is called the Caribbean Workers' Council, which is a regional umbrella body where different unions from different islands in the Caribbean is part of this body. Like on St. Martin, we have the WICLU, where a number of unions from St. Martin form this umbrella body. But within that CWC setting, you have the Dutch Caribbean trade unions which are part of that. Last year, November, we met in our annual conference or deliberations in the Dominican Republic, and St. Martin took the initiative to convene a meeting with the Dutch Caribbean territories. Fundamental agreements were made in that meeting, and that is we will meet every quarterly to discuss social, economic, and political situation within the Dutch Caribbean. Since 10-10-10, there has been a number of fundamental changes the way how these islands operate within the Dutch Kingdom. It also means that more things came to light when the USA decided to challenge the Venezuelan democratic procedures. Look at the effects, especially in the Dutch Caribbean, where Aruba and Curacao, in their close proximity to Venezuela, and how they have been affected directly. And St. Martin the same way, because while France gave political asylum to Venezuelans, they come on French St. Martin, where we don't have any, let's say, tangible borders, but symbolic one, and they will just pass over, come over, live, work, among other things. It is also causing a crisis on Dutch St. Martin. But these decisions are made without the involvement of the island government. Even though we have seen recently, on a regular basis, the Prime Ministers from St. Martin, Aruba and Curacao would meet to discuss these situations. As far as we understood, they have never returned back to the islands and explained exactly what those discussions were all about. But we as a population, we have to live with decisions made not by us, but decisions made by countries in Europe, the USA, and so on. So those are matters that we must discuss and come to consensus and conclusion about, because it affects workers and workers' rights.
And still to come in this edition of SXM Daily News, Member of Parliament Claudius Van Camper requests meeting on electoral reform. I'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hello St. Martin, my name is Stephanie Medina and I play football with the Walichi Women's Soccer team. I have represented St. Martin in many different games, for example the Dutch Caribbean Women's Soccer Cup. I played against Bonaire, Aruba and Curacao right here in this stadium. Sports matter to me because it makes me happy, it keeps me fit and healthy, and it is very fun. So I asked the business community to take on this challenge and help us rebuild our facilities. And I also asked the community to nominate the local businesses in your area and take on the challenge and step up for sport. Why? Because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sport Facebook page for more information. Hashtag sports matter, hashtag are you in?
And as we end the news this evening, United St. Martin Party USP Member of Parliament Claudius Van Camper has sent a letter to the chairlady of the Ad Hoc Committee for Electoral Reform, MP Grisha Heiliger Martin, requesting that she convenes a meeting to address the matter of electoral reform, starting with an evaluation of the existing proposals that aim to address the current situation with the objective to present a legislative amendment. Member of Parliament Buncamper stated in his letter to the chairlady that during the most recently held parliamentary election, all political parties that contested that election raised the issue of electoral reform, with the main concern being the ease with which Parliament is dissolved, resulting in early elections. The consequence of government losing the confidence of Parliament has more often than not resulted in the Prime Minister dissolving Parliament by invoking Article 59 of the Constitution of St. Martin. MP Buncamper expressed his concerns with, among other things, the costs associated with the outgoing members of various cabinets in the form of severance pay and other benefits, and the interruption of continuity of government. In his letter, the MP indicated that the lawmakers at the time of passing the electoral legislation and establishment of policies surely did not take into consideration a situation in which instability in government would be as frequent as it has proven to be in St. Martin during the last 10 years. Our country needs stability and the ability to operate in an environment which is conducive to creating such stability, the MP said. Parliament, therefore, has a responsibility to pass the necessary legislation to create that environment. Lastly, the MP said that he would like the committee to address the severance pay and benefits currently enjoyed by the outgoing ministers and parliamentarians after a dissolution of Parliament, in the context of the budgetary burden of the country's treasury, as well as the influence this may have on the Prime Minister's decision to dissolve Parliament. And I'm Valerie Van Putten. Just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.